Okay, we're going to start today on the bottom of Ayin Vav, Amud Aleph, 76a. Yeah, it's we'll start from the word Va'abaya V'Rava. It's 5 lines up from the bottom of the page. Thank Hashem that they're able to enter every day.
Amen.
It's Chosr learning, we should have the base of Migdash
Amen.
immediately. We're learning Lili Nishmas Nisanel Sab Ben Metzion. I think the Yotze maybe Tiny Sesta, which is this week. I mean, Thursday. Thursday is Tiny Sesta. And now they changed the clock. Probably the Tainus will start the middle of the share or something. And then also Refuah Shlema, everyone that needs.
Amen.
And for Eretz Yisrael and for the hostages should be returned safely. We're holding Abaya V'Rava. Now, what happened before was we asked, what's our source for a person that lives with his own daughter? Not his wife's daughter, but his own daughter, which means he lived with a woman that wasn't his wife, and she became pregnant and had a daughter. This father now lives with his own daughter. How do we know that there's the punishment, and how do we know that there's the prohibition? So the punishment we learned, and now we're asking about the prohibition. So we gave sources for the prohibition. Then we asked, according to Rav Avin, what's his source? He gave a source of the pasuk, Al techalas bitcha las naisa. Don't profane your daughter with licentiousness. Well, Abai and Rava that had a different source for the prohibition. What do they do with that pasuk? That's what we're holding. Yeah. So Abai Rava Al techalas bitcha las naisa. What do they do with that pasuk if they don't need it as a source that the person is prohibited to live with his own daughter, because it says in the pasuk only his granddaughter. Well, Amar Rav Mani Zamasias Pite Lazakin. Abai and Rava say that the pasuk, don't profane your daughter with licentiousness, to cause her to become licentious. This means don't marry her off to an older person. Why? What's going to happen is, we'll see in a moment, that because she's not attracted to him, she's going to end up committing adultery. Kidatanya was taught in a brayso al techalas bitcha las naisa. Don't profane your daughter to become licentious. Rabbi Eliezer is someone that marries off his daughter to an older person. And it could be the thought is that she's going to want more relations than he's going to be able to give her, and or maybe she's not attracted to him. Whatever the case is, she's going to commit the adultery. Rabbi Kiva Imer is Amasias Pite Begeres. Amashes Pite Begeres. This is someone that delays his daughter's marriage, because the daughter is a good domestic help in the house. He doesn't want her to get married. He's going to lose his maid, so he delays her marriage. There's no poor person in Israel except for the one that's conniving and wicked, and someone that delays his daughter's marriage. He's trying to tell me that that's not a conniving, wicked person. You said and this person. It's the same person. That's the same person. Amar Abaya explains, this is what it means. Ezo ani Rasha Aram, who is a poor, wicked, conniving person. Amasha Bita Begeres. This is someone that delays his daughter's marriage. Okay. Amar Rav Kana Mishum Rabbi Akiva. Why is it Amar Rav Kana? Because we had once. Amar Rav Kana Mishum Rabbi Akiva. Interesting. There's a big generation gap there, but right, there's 6 Rav Kanas. Whatever the case is, there's one that's a Kohen and one that's not a Kohen, that we know for sure. One was a student of Rav. So Rav Kana says the name of Rabbi Akiva, Tavizar min hayoyetzech lefi darkei. To be wary of someone that gives you advice but it's for his own benefit. Okay, that's another statement from Rav Kana named Rabbi Akiva. Does it have to do with us? I'm not sure. Same author. I'm Rav Yudah Marav. Rav Yudah says the name of Rav Masias Pita Lezakin. You have a comment there?
Potential match for his own benefit.
Who's commenting? I'm Rabbi Chaya. It's Hill is telling me that in the notes over there it says that his father is telling the daughter not to marry, giving her bad advice for his own benefit, not to marry this person. Okay.
His father-in-law?
No, he wants his daughter to stay in the house as domestic help. So he keeps telling her, this one's no good, this one's no good. If someone marries his daughter to an older person, or the opposite, he marries off a woman to his young son. Right, that's the opposite. Or someone that, do you have a pencil there? Oh, here. There's someone that returns a lost object to a non-Jew, to a kuti. Allah kasavaimer. They have a dollar to that. Regarding him, the pasuk says, that he connects the Rava, the one that's satisfied, with the tzmeya, with the one that's thirsty. Hashem will not agree to forgive him, will not desire to forgive him. Well, the explanation for this is like this. He marries off his daughter to an older person. So the daughter, before she was married, she didn't desire relations. She only desires it once she gets married. Now that she started, now she won't be able to satisfy it. So she's always going to be. So Rava is the satisfied person, and Tzmeya is the thirsty. So you're making the one that's, you're making her from being satisfied. You're making her thirsty. And then the same applies to the opposite. Masi isha lebnei katan, as he marries off a woman to his young son. His young son also wasn't desiring relations until he gets married, right? Because the Gemara says, "Ever katan yesh b'adam." Remember the Gemara Sukkah, that a man has a small organ. If you starve it, it's satisfied. If you satisfy it, it's starving. So before he's married, he's satisfied. But now you married him off, and now the wife can't provide for him what he needs. Then a machzer abeidul kuti. This is explained like this, and the Marsha doesn't spell it out. I'm explaining the Marshas, but what the pshat is that the kuti doesn't desire the money of the Jew. He has his own money. He doesn't. But then comes along the Jew and returns a lost object to him. There's no halacha to return a lost object to a non-Jew, unless it's a kiddush Hashem or something. But really, you don't have to return a lost object. There's a halacha they have to return a lost object to a Jew, not to a non-Jew. But so the non-Jew never desired the Jewish money. But now that you returned him as something, so now he thinks he can get money from the Jew. Now you've awakened in him, I can get money from the Jew. So that's you're combining the satisfied with the thirsty. Okay. You're connecting them. Okay. Meisvei, there's a question. Someone that loves his wife like himself. And he honors her more than himself. It means he buys her more than he can afford. Buys her gifts. And he leads his sons and daughters in the right path. And he gets them married before they reach the age. Regarding him, the pasuk says, and you would know that there's peace in your tent, and you'll visit your abode, and it won't be lacking. Means your house will be won't be lacking. Now here, one of the items that was listed in this brisa was if he marries them before they reach the age. That means he marries them when they're young. Young was a problem, we said before. They weren't going to be satisfied. Well, it doesn't say who he marries them to. The Gemara answers, Samach lepirka and shani. The Gemara answers that it means that next to the time, that it's close to the time when they're going to be eligible to be married. So that's already close enough in age. Yeah, I guess that we were thinking that there would be a big age gap, and now we're answering that no, it's close to the age, so which is fine. Originally, we thought that there was a big age gap, and we're saying that that was a positive thing, and now we're saying that no, there's no age gap because it's samach lepirka, and it's close to the age of when they're supposed to get married. Yeah. Okay. Taner Rabbanan started in the brisa. Someone that loves his neighbors, but makarav es krevav, and someone that brings his relatives close. But noisi es basachesi, someone that marries his niece. But mal basel ani b'shastachi, and someone that lends a coin to a poor person when he needs it. Allah b'kasavaymer. Regarding him, the verse says, "Os tikrav Hashem yana." And then he calls out, and Hashem responds. Now, what the Gemara is doing here is it's explaining the pasuk. The pasuk says that you should give your bread to those that are hungry, but you should not neglect your own flesh. And the Gemara is explaining each one of these is giving your bread to the hungry is talking about the person that needs, and not reject your own flesh. That's referring to marrying your niece and bringing your relatives close and loving your neighbors. Okay. All of that is like it's explaining the pasuk. We didn't quote the whole pasuk, but this price is explaining that pasuk, and then it just quotes the end of it. Taner Rabbanan. Back to some halachas here. This is talking about the verse that says that if a man will marry a woman, and then he'll live with the mother of the woman, then they will be burnt in fire, him and them. It says, him and them. Esen means them. Well, the problem is them sounds like the wife. Well, the wife did nothing wrong. So, Rabbi Shmuel says that Esen doesn't mean both. It means one of them. We'll see in a minute how. Rabbi Akiva says, it means no, him and both of them. Now, according to Rabbi Akiva, we have to explain why the wife sounds like the wife is going to be punished. What's the difference between them? It's just the difference on how to expound on the verse. Rabbi Shmuel Savar, how he explains. Rabbi Shmuel holds him and them. It doesn't really mean them. It means her. Him and one of them. Because in Greek, the word for one is heina. So eshen is really a Greek word, not a Hebrew word. That could be confusing. And how do we know the mother-in-law, the mother's mother? So now we know that who gets killed over here? The husband and the mother-in-law that he lived with, not the wife. What about the mother-in-law's mother? He said that we learned from Madrasha. That we don't have in the verse. Because the verse is only referring to one of them, which is referring to the mother. Rabbi Akiva says no, him and them, in both of them is referring to the two of them, referring to his mother-in-law and his mother-in-law's mother. That's the two of them. Of course, it doesn't mean the wife. Wife doesn't get punished. So it means the two of them is referring to the mother-in-law's mother. In the mother-in-law's mother, his wife's grandmother is written here in the verse. It says Eshen, referring to the mother-in-law and her mother. Rav Amar, that was the pshat of Abaya in the machlekes. Rava has a different pshat of the machlekes. Rava says, Rav Amar Chamaisei Lacher Misa Kibinayim. Rava says that what we're really dealing with is the mother-in-law after the death of his own wife. Means the daughter, mother-in-law's daughter. Rabbi Shmuel Savar Chamaisei Lacher Misa B'Sreifa. Shmuel says that it means one of them, which means that it doesn't matter if the wife is alive or not. Still, the mother-in-law and him get burnt. Kiva Savar Isur Balmar. Kiva says no. Only time they get burnt is if the wife is still alive. Otherwise, what connected them is broken. What connected this fellow to his mother-in-law was his wife. His wife is now dead. So there's a prohibition to live with the mother-in-law, but it's not a punishment of burning, right? It's straight up.
Sometimes the titles stay even if the person
right. Kadora
does it mean that like the punishment was the same?
Yeah, but here it's machlekes. That's according to Rava. There's machlekes about this regarding a mother-in-law. Yeah. Yeah, like for example, a person is allowed to marry his wife's sister. His wife passes away. He can marry two sisters, right? But if the wife dies, he can marry the sister. He can, yes, marry it. Right?
Is that like an exception to the whole Edom thing?
It's not, Edom is the opposite.
I know. But is it an exception since the brother could be married, the sister could be married?
No, it doesn't connect to it. Sometimes it helps to raise the children.
Rabbi Kiva, I guess, is for punishment.
Sorry?
Rabbi Kiva, I guess, is punishment. Is basically what he's already suffered.
There's a joke here, but I'm not going to repeat it. Okay. Ve'elu haneragin. We have a new Mishnah. The following are people that are killed by the sword, not by. Before we started off with people that are stoned, capital punishment, stoning. Then we went to capital punishment, burning. Now we're up to by the sword. Who is that? That's a ritzeach, a murderer, va'anshe ir anidachas, and members of the city that worshipped Avodah Zarah. Oh, Moshe's on. I didn't notice. Moshe in Los Angeles already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just got her.
Wow. Okay.
Say hi to Rabbi Smith's old stomping grounds.
Did Shalom make it?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. Spring forward.
Okay. So those are the two. Now, let's say a murderer, he hits his friend with a stone or with iron. Okay. And or someone that pushes him down into water, into fire, and he's not able to get up, and then it causes him to die. So all of those cases is chayav. He's chayav. He gets the capital punishment if he was warned. It would be gullus, I guess, if it was by mistake. Let's say he pushed him into the water. See, before we didn't mention that he pushed him in. He was already in the water. He just held him down. Now he pushes him into the water, but he can still get up. But he doesn't get up. So he's pater. The person that pushed him in is pater. Hishich by, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Shisa by a kelev, shisa by a nachash. Let's say he incites a dog or incites a snake to go bite this person. So then he's pater. But hishich by a nashach, if he causes it to bite, he actually takes the snake over to the person's hand and tells him, bite him. Rabbi Yehuda mechayev acham paiter. Rabbi Yehuda says that he's chayev for that. The Chacham say pater. It's interesting. We'll see what the machlekes says between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. Has to do with where the poison of the snake is held. We'll see that. Okay.
Bring forward, baby.
I know this.
That's the preparations, wedding preparation.
I was like, oh, that's good, bro.
I'm gonna do a video. Everything's great.
Okay, we just finished the Mishnah on Ayin Vav. I'm at base 76. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, "Mipnei malei nemer yad bebarzel." Now the pasuk says, "Oy be'eben yad beklietz yad." When it talks about a wooden item that was used to kill, or a stone item, it says the word yad, which means a hand, or a handle. Why doesn't it say a hand or handle by when it talks about the iron? It talks about the iron, it says im bekli barzel, an iron vessel, an iron utensil. It doesn't say yad over there. So Shmuel explains, Shabarzel memes b'kolshu, because it doesn't need to have a certain size to kill. Iron can kill from any size. It can pierce as a little tiny bullet. It can kill right? It can kill. It doesn't have to be a certain size. It could be a needle. Because a person can kill someone with a needle. He pokes him in his I don't know, trachea or something.
Also, the tetanus thing.
Oh, tetanus? Yeah, I don't know if that's what it means. Tetanus is from the cow manure that gets stuck on the rust. They think it's from rust, but it's really from the manure that was stuck on the rust.
Jackie Mason says not afraid of guns. Oh, it's terrifying.
Okay. So Tanya Namiyachi, it's also taught in a brisa. Rabbi Yomi says, everyone knows, and it was revealed in front of the one who spoke and the world was created, which means in front of God. That iron can kill with the smallest amount. So the Torah doesn't give a measurement in how big it needs to be for a person to die. And immediately the bars they nivras, that's only if he stabs him. But if he hits him with it, so then it needs to be the right size, right? A little tiny needle, if he tries to hit him with the needle, it's not gonna cause harm. He has to poke him. And that's gonna be any size. If he holds him under the water. Now we had two cases over here. One case was he held him under the water, said that he's chayiv. Other one was he pushed him into the water and he could get out, he's pater. Each one is going to have a chiddush. What's the chiddush? Reisha Rabusa Kamash, the first one, when he holds him under the water, there's a chiddush. Even though he wasn't the one that pushed him into the water, there was someone else that pushed him into the water. But because he can't get out because of what this person, the second person, did, so the second person comes along and holds him under, then he's going to be chayav, the second person. Sefer Rabusa Kamash Malan. The sefer, the chiddush of the sefer is afagav the dachva, even though he's the one that pushed him in. Even the Yachalalis Mishamameh Pater, since he's able to get out, it's going to be Pater. We'll have coming up on the next page these cases where there's a combination of this guy pushes him in and this guy takes away the ladder. This guy did it, then like all of those combinations. We'll see. But okay, here he pushed him in, but he can still get out. But when he pushed him in, so he's going to be Pater from the punishment. Okay. Kavash Minalan. How do we know that a person would be chayiv from holding him under the water? Amar Shmuel, Amar Kra, Ibe Eva. It says over there about someone that kills another person. It says, or he does it out of hate. And when it says that example, Ibe Eva, or out of hate, that extra word is coming to tell us, L'Rabbeis has someone that confines him into a position where he dies because of that confinement. Mitzamtzim is to confine, yeah, like tzimtzum in Chassidus. So okay, who gavra was a person. The mitzamtzima l'chiyusa dechavri b'shimsho mesa. This he takes his friend's animal and he confines it into the sun, so he can't. The animals like to go into the shade, right? And he holds it in the sun, locks it up, and he chains it to right in the right to the parking lot, right to the bike where they have the bikes, in the parking lot. There's no shade. So, and the animal dies. Well, Ravina Mechayev, Ravacha Barav Pater. Ravina says he's Chayev, and Ravacha Barav says that he's Pater. Now we have to see why. If this would be a human, but this might be considered murder. It's like holding him under the water, holding him in the fire, holding him in the sunlight. Maybe it's murder. Okay, let's see. Ravina says Chayev, Kal V'Chaimer. He has a Kal V'Chaimer. When it comes to murder, it has to be intentional. If it's not intentional, then the halachas change. If it's an accident, the halachas change. It's not the same thing. But nevertheless, if someone confines a person to a place where he can't survive, we say that he's going to be chayev. Well, nizakin, when it comes to damages, property damage, right, which includes killing an animal, is property damage. Is over there we seem to be stricter. Over there we say that that the intentional or unintentional or even an accident, if a person does the damage, Adam Muad Lailam, person's always considered guilty. So then for sure should be chayiv if he confines him to an area that he can't survive. If he's chayiv for capital punishment, so for sure should be chayiv for property damage. Yeah, that's the way the Gemara is viewing it. That's the opinion of Ravina. Ravacha Barav says he's pater. Number of Mesharshi, my time of the Vuada the pater. Mesharshi says, what's the reason for my grandfather? Apparently, Mesharshi is a grandson of Ravacha Barav. This is a great grandson of Rav. What's the reason for my grandfather that says that he's pater? Amarkra, the pasuk says, should be put to death, the murderer. It's only by murder where someone that confines him to a location where he can't survive is going to be chayiv. By damages, confining him to a certain place, he won't be chayiv. Now, it's interesting. I wonder how this fits with that Gemara in Akainas, where if a watchman locks the animal in a place in the sun. The Gemara says that no matter how the animal gets out, the watchman is guilty. The animal is going to try to get out in any possible way. It's going to do any even things that are abnormal for it to do, like to dig under the wall or something, which would be an abnormal way of it escaping. But because you put it in the sun, it's going to do everything. Now, over here we're saying that for Nezakin, if you confine an animal, you're going to be exempt from the damages that it causes. The damage that the confinement causes. That doesn't mean, okay, I guess there's two things over here. There's damage that happens to the animal, and then there's the damages that the animal causes because it was confined. Damages that happen to the animal is considered indirect. You confine the animal, but it's not you that caused the damage. That's the way we're viewing it, according to Rav Mesharshi. According to Ravacha Barav, he's exempt from payment. But the damages that the animal is going to cause because it was confined and now it escapes, now it whatever. So that I have to look at that Gemara again to see if that fits. Apparently that you would be chayav for.
The example sounds like the one where the animal would break some of the produce.
Right. That's the thing. The damages that the animal is going to cause, it's going to eat produce, whatever. But that damage that it's going to cause is going to be chayav. Even though the damage that's caused to it is going to be pater. Watchman. Okay. Amar Rava. Rava says, Kafsoi umeis barav. If someone ties someone up and he doesn't feed him, he dies from hunger, he's pater, he's exempt. Because he wasn't the one that caused the hunger by tying him up. The hunger came later. It was indirect. It wasn't like he held him under water where he couldn't breathe. So just later on he got hungry. There was a delay.
So I'm probably gonna argue.
Let's see. Amar Rava has another halacha. Kafse bechama umes, betzino mes is chayev. If he ties him in the sun or he ties him up in the freezing cold and he dies, he's chayev because over there the sun was there, the cold was there. He put him into this position where he can't survive. Safe chamalave, safe tinalav. If he tied him up, it was night. The sun wasn't out yet, or he tied him up and the cold didn't come yet. It was a cold front coming. So then he's pater, exempt, because that came later. That's considered causing. It's not considered direct. Amarav kafse lifnei ari, tied him in front of a lion. It's pater. Yatushin is chayev. He tied him in front of mosquitoes, then he's going to be chayev. Now the explanation for this is, ties him in front of a lion is because even if he wasn't tied, the lion was going to eat him. So he didn't have to be tied. The lion can outrun him and catch him. So what he did was really nothing by tying him. The lion would eat him anyway. But in front of the mosquitoes, that he could have gotten away from the mosquitoes, jump in the water. I don't know, you run away. It's hard to get away from mosquitoes, but I guess a swarm of mosquitoes you can get away from.
Before all.
Yeah. You're going to tell me that this is some Zika thing or something? No. It means, what's it called? It means some type of insect that would actually kill. Mosquitoes just itch, but it's probably something that would kill. It's a different type of bug. Wasps, gnats that are some, I don't know, something we don't have today. Maybe we do have.
Sand gnats.
What are they?
Sand gnats? No Sams?
No seams.
Okay.
Okay. So over there, he could have gotten away. This is what he did. He caused him to die. Remember that girl in Sodom? They tied her up and smeared honey on her or something. She died. Yeah. Ravashi says, I feel if Tishanami Pati is also Pater. Ravashi has an interesting point. He says that when you have a swarm of mosquitoes, it's not the same mosquitoes that are biting. It's more that are coming. There's more that are coming. So the ones that you put it in front of aren't the same ones that ended up killing the person. Those were other mosquitoes. Well, Ravashi seems to argue with Rava, because Rava holds that all the mosquitoes are one. I guess it depends how you look at mosquitoes. Do you look at them as one unit, or do you look at them as individuals? Like that's Ravashi. That's what Ravashi is doing. He's looking at the mosquitoes are individual.
Jimmy mosquito and Tommy mosquito.
Right. Itmar. Remember there was a scientist that they didn't give him a grant to do his research, so he did his research on fruit flies. She didn't need a laboratory because he could do that in your house. I forget what he did. He did the genetics and the interesting things with genetics.
Right. It's like science, like just
Red winged, white winged, different fruit flies. Okay. Itmar kafal of gigas. Let's say he put a barrel over him so the person suffocated. Paral of maziva, or he took the roof off so it became freezing cold. Plaster on the roof, the insulation. Rava v'Rab Zeir. So this is a machlekes between Rava and Rab Zeir. Chadam chayev, chadam pater. One says that this is chayev, the other one says it's pater. Tistayim. Now we don't know who holds what. We just have Rava and Reb Zera. By the way, the Purim Sicha was Rabba and Reb Zera, not Rava and Reb Zera. Rava's, remember Rabba killed Reb Zera. Remember that Shechter. Okay.
Can't rely on mirror.
That's right. So to Stayim, let it be settled. The Rava Damar Pater. That Rava was the one that says that he's Pater. Why Damar Rava? Because Rava was the one that said before, Kafta Meis Berav is Pater. If he ties him, and he dies because of the hunger, so he's Pater. So probably if he ties him, and he over here he's not tying. Here he's putting him over a barrel. You're putting a barrel over him, he's going to be Pater. Similar to that. He didn't die immediately. He died when the oxygen ran out. Gemara says, Adarab, on the contrary, this time the Reb Zera Damar Pater. It's probably Reb Zera that says that he's Pater. Why? Damar Reb Zera says, Hayman da Aile Lachavri Besa de Shisha, Badak Leshraga, Omeis Chayv. Someone that puts his friend into a house that's sealed with, it's a marble house, and he seals it, and then he lights a candle inside. So they vacuum pack it. Here, he took away all the oxygen from the room, and then the person was left inside, and he died. So he's chayev. Time. What's the reason why he's chayev? Because he lit the candle. The candle was the problem. If he didn't light the candle, then he would be exempt.
This is really the difference between like direct cause and proximate cause, right? Like, it has a direct cause.
Right.
In this case, the candle just accelerated the process.
Yeah, that accelerated the process, right? So it looks like Reb Zera would be the one that says that he is exempt, not Rava. Because if he didn't accelerate it, then it would be he'd be Pater. Amri.
All those situations like a dead man, eventually, without food or out in the sun, all these things eventually.
I know, but because there's more time, there's a delay, so that maybe something will happen. This is not like
People are saying Hashem could like.
as people say, well, because he got fired from his job, and then he got divorced from his wife, and then ended up dying from a heart attack. And okay, so the guy that fired him is the murderer.
The person was tied up on a train track. They would hold it, and the train came eventually.
So you got to see this. Wait, yeah, that's the way to. We'll turn the page.
The category of dead man has to be no way of saving.
Right. Right. Amri, they said like this. It's not necessarily Reb Zera, because Hassam, in that house of marble, without the candle, it doesn't even start the suffocation. He's able to breathe fine. Things are gonna get bad, but right now he's breathing fine. B'shaita at that moment. But over here, when he puts the barrel over him, without the candle, he doesn't need a candle with the barrel. He already can hardly breathe, because in the barrel it's much more confined. Okay. Siman Sulam Tris Samanim Bekaisel Amarava. Look at this Gemara. Dachve Labar V'Sulam Babar. This is when people try to talk about what is the Talmud, and they want to describe. So they'll bring like this stuff over here to discuss. It's really one page out of 2,711, but this would be a classic example of Talmud. All right. Dachvul Labar. If someone someone pushes someone else into a pit. Basulam Babar. And there's a ladder there. Someone else comes and removes the ladder. Afilu kadam v'silke. Even if he himself had removed the ladder. Now, Rashi says, Afilu hu hadoichet atzmai kadam v'silke kaidem nefilasi shalzeh. Pater. I don't get that. Gemara continues. It says, because at the time that he threw him in the pit, he was able to get up. What does Rashi mean? You removed the ladder. How does he get up if he removed the ladder before he fell in?
Here what they had is they removed it before.
Let me see if they comment on Rashi. Rashi says Kodim Nefilasai. Number 5. I don't care what Rashi's saying. Kadam the silka, Kodim Nefilasai Shalzeh. Pater, didn't the Shad Yachlasa. Oh. Maybe what Rashi means is that maybe if this person removed the ladder, but he didn't push him in, the person just fell in. That's how you would have to switch it. You have to switch it like this. Not that he pushed him in and then removed the ladder. If he did both, it sounds like he'd be chayav, according to Rashi. If he pushed him in and then took away the ladder, if he did both, he'd probably be chayav. Rashi's saying that if he took away the ladder and then the guy fell in, he didn't push him in. Or he pushed him in and he didn't take away the ladder. Someone else took away the ladder. And the guy that takes away the ladder, he didn't kill him. He didn't even touch him. He just took away his ability to get out. So he can't be chayav for murder. That's just the grama. He didn't pull the trigger. He just took away his life.
Well, if he pushes him in and he has time to get out and doesn't, and then he takes away the ladder, he's no different than the stranger that takes away the ladder, right? I thought that's what this was getting at.
I know, but you see what Rashi's saying? He removed the ladder before he fell in. Why don't you just leave it at the normal case? They removed the ladder after he fell in. Sounds like Rashi's saying that it wouldn't apply if he removed the ladder after he fell in. I don't know. Okay, Amar Rava. Rava has another case. Zara Chaitz B'Tris B'Yadei. This person, he shoots an arrow at this fellow, but the guy has a shield. Someone else comes and removes the shield. Or even if he came, he ran after he shot this. I thought this looks like you're right. He came and took away the shield after the arrow was shot.
Yeah, took away his.
So he did both. He shot the arrow and he took away the shield. It's gonna be pater. Sounds, I don't know, now this is confusing to me why Rashi had to do that. Why he had to say, okay. See the next case. Amar Rava, Zara Chaitz, Samana Biyade Bacha Pisron, Filahukadam Pisron. Let's say shot an arrow at this person, but the person had medicine that could heal him from an arrow wound. He had an elixir. He had some medicine. But someone comes and spills out the medicine. Even if the same person came and spilled out the medicine. Because at the time that he shot the arrow, this person could have been healed. Well, it wasn't a dead man. Could have put on the medicine, the ointment, the what's it called? Antiseptic cream, right? What's the name of that? Neosporin. Neosporin. He would have been fine. Right. Amar Ravashi. Ravashi says Hilkach. If that's the case, I feel someone in Bashuk. He should be exempt even if the medicine is in the market. Go to the market and get healed.
Dangerous.
Amar Alei Ravacha Breda Rava Ravashi Ravacha, the son of Rava, says to Ravashi, Nizdam Le Samana Mahu. Let's say he ends up getting medicine, but he doesn't use it, and so he dies. So the guy that killed him is now should be chayav because he died. On the other hand, though, in other words, he didn't have the medicine when he killed him, but he got the medicine. He didn't have the medicine when he was shot. He got the medicine, but he didn't use it. So should he be chayav? Because when he shot him, there was no chance of survival. Then it became a chance of survival, but he didn't survive because he didn't use it. So what should we say now? Amalei, Ravashi responds to Ravacha B'Rava Riyatzmi Bezdin Zakai, because he already was exempt from in court. Because in court they already knew that there was a time when he could have been healed. So once you have some sort of merit, so in the court they're not going to do the punishment. He could have survived. Yeah, you wanted to add something?
I think all the murderers are going to blame the doctors. What they could have done.
Yeah, Hill is asking the murderers are now going to just blame the doctors. They could have saved him. I guess what we'd say would respond to that is no, the doctors couldn't save him. Right? Rava says,
Doctors who work especially for like a hospital, director or something in the hospital tells doctor to work on this patient rather than that patient.
they get like instructions.
Doctors that work in emergency cases, like they'll tell you it's not in their hands because they could do the same thing to many people, and everyone reacts differently.
Right.
Depends how much like the soul wants to stay in the body.
Right. Rava says, someone throws a rock against the wall, a pebble against the wall, and it rebounds. And it kills a person. It's chayav. Chayav from the rebound as well. What's it called by a bullet when it goes to ricochets? So he's chayav from that also. Now, this is like a little bit more difficult to determine if that was his intention, because chayav over here would mean you need to intend that. Well, Tuna, and this was taught in a brisa, similar to those people that play with the ball. They would apparently there was a ball game back then, punch ball. Is that you punch it against the wall? If it hits the guy, then he's out. So b'mezid, if this was done on purpose, that they hit it against the wall and then it bounced back and killed someone, neragin, it's going to be chayav. B'shoigig, if it was done unintentionally, then goylen, they'll go to galus. This is considered direct. The rebound, the ricochet, is direct. B'shoigig, goylen, pshitav, obviously they get galus. It says b'mezid neragin, it's trichalei. The chiddush over here is that b'mezid, you do it on purpose, that they get the death penalty, capital punishment. That's going to be the chiddush. We could say that when the person was warned, they couldn't have known for sure that that's going to kill the person, because how do you know if it's going to rebound this the way that the person's saying? So maybe we should say that he was warned in a doubt that it was asra safek, and maybe asra safek isn't the real warning. Kamashmalan that that's the way things work. They rebound. Tani Rab Tachlifa Bar Ma'arava Kamedi Rabavo was taught in Rab Tachlifa Bar Ma'arava taught a brisa in front of Rabavo. Similar to those people that play ball. that they killed because it rebounded. It depends how far the rebound, how far back it was. If it was within 4 amas of the rebound, then it's pater. If it's more than 4 amas of the rebound, then it's going to be chayav. Well, Amalei Ravina Ravashi, Ravina says to Rashi, Echidami, what's going on over here? Why is there a distinction of 4 amas? Where did we get the 4 amas from? If he wanted it to go as far as it went, and even if it went even less than 4 amas, he should be chayav. If he doesn't want it to go that far, then even if it goes further than 4 amas, he should be pater. He didn't want that. Amalei responded, Stam Mesachim Mekader, Kama Da'ili Tvei Menach Nichale. The further it goes is what they want. When you throw something against the wall, you want it to see how far back it can go. L'meimra, but you're trying to say that that's considered direct strength, that when it rebounds, that's considered direct, it's considered his power. Maybe it's the power of the wall. I'll have a contradiction for that. A Makadesh Nafal Kiddush al Yadai, Ayal Atzad, Bachan Nafal Ashaikas is possible. The halacha of the water of the paraduma is that you have the water that you took from a living water, right? You took it from a what's it called? A spring. You take it from a spring, and then you have to add the ashes on top. And you have to put the ashes. It says v'nasan alav efer. It says something like that. You have to put the ashes on it, but what was the exact expression? Forget what the pasuk says. Mayim Chaim El Kelly. Okay, so whatever the case is, you have to put the ashes on to the onto the water. But here, what he did was, it fell on the side, and then after that, it fell into where the water was held. It didn't fall directly. So it's possible. We say that that's possible. But that's the rebound. That should be direct. Rebound was direct. It's talking about where it trickled in. I forget which one was first. They put the water in first, or they put the ashes first.
The ashes must be applied to the water for the person.
So here, well, it must be applied to the water. Here it's talking about b'sheisis means that it didn't rebound directly in. First it fell and then it trickled in afterwards. So it wasn't there. There's different types of rebounds, but this was not the one that's direct. Toshima machatchin a needle that's put on, that's placed on top of a earthenware shard. And then the needle was tummy. So you have to sprinkle the water of the paraduma onto this needle. So you sprinkled it on. However, Safak al-Machad, he says, Safak al-Cheres, he's Mitzah, Allah Hazasa. You see that the needle's wet. The question is, did it land on the earthenware and it trickled onto it fell back onto the needle? Or did it fall directly onto the needle? Basically, what we're saying is that if we consider it, we say that it's possible, because if it rebounds back, we say we don't consider that direct. And you told me before that rebound is considered direct. It says, not mitzah, that it got sprinkled from, that means that it rebounded. No, you found it. And when you found it, you don't know if it trickled back or if it rebounded back. If it splashed back. Okay. Amar of Papa. Papa says, someone that binds up his friend, ties him up, and then he lets the water flow on him. That's considered like shooting an arrow. You can't say, well, I didn't really kill him, I just shot the arrow. The arrow then went and killed him. No, that's not how it works. It's your arrow, you shot it. So here also, he tied him up, and then he drowned him in the water. But that's only if it's the direct water. However, Aval b'koach sheni, but if it's koach sheni, that means that he put him far away, distant from the water, but the water kept going, and it overflowed from its first container, and then it started to flow into the second container, and he was in the second container. That's considered a grama. It's not direct enough. Koach sheni, we say grama ba'almahu. It's just considered a cause, but not considered direct. Amar Rav Papa Zarek Tzralamayla v'holchal etzdadim b'harga chayev. Here he threw something up, and on its way down, it went to the side and it killed someone. He's chayev. He threw up a rock. Now, what the Gemara is assuming here is that when you throw something up, so you're not the one. If it fell down directly, then you're not the one that made it fall, because what made it fall was the height that it was at. That's what made it fall. You threw it up. That was direct. When it comes back, that wasn't you. That was the gravity.
So how about the one who's chopping wood in the forest with an axe?
That was your axe.
So the axe like this, but the top point just by accident flew off and killed someone.
Yeah, but that you threw that. That was considered your throw.
What about like you're playing baseball and you hit a ball?
Yeah, so but you hit the ball. That's considered your throw. Anyway, look at this. Here it went up and it went to the side. We think because it went to the side, that's considered your throw because it had like a arc, right? Then you caused it to hit him. Amalei, what's his name? Newton would like this. Amalei Mar Baravashi Rav Papa. Mar Baravashi says to Rav Papa, "My time Mishum Dekaycheu." What are you saying? It's because why is it considered that he killed him? Because it's his power. What do they call these? A vector or something? It goes in this direction and that. It's because that the fact that it turned over was that it went there was because it was his kaya. If you're saying it's his power, Hazel. Why doesn't it continue going upwards? He threw it up. He threw a football. He throws it up. Now, where does it land? It lands down. So we say, if it lands on the side, we say, oh, it's his power, because it went in that arc that he had thrown it. It says, if it's his power, if you throw it straight up and it comes down, it says he's potter. Because that wasn't his power. But if you want it to be his power, then it should continue going up. What pulls it down? Not him, the gravity. So it wasn't him that pulled it down. Ilav kaicho, and if it's not his power, then tezel letachas, then it should fall right away. So what does that mean? People miyat connect the blade study. Then it should fall right. It should fall right in the same spot. So ella kayach kachashu. Rather, what we say is, it's not a strong power, but it is a weak power. So basically, this Gemara is very interesting. This Gemara is saying is that when he throws something, it's basically Newton's law that if he throws something, if not for gravity, or if you can overcome gravity, it would continue going in that direction forever. The gravity is what's pulling it down. But the fact that it's still moving in this direction is still coming from him. The gravity is only working on the up-down part. It's not working on this part.
It's like it loses strength, the upward motion, and eventually the gravity.
Right. When someone shoots a bullet and it makes its way down to the ground, right? Does it slow down as it's going down?
Now, Tali would know he had a bullet shot at him by the Hells Angels.
Far enough, it has to decline eventually.
I know it's going to decline because the gravity is pulling it down.
Eventually, it just depends how far away.
But does it slow down its forward motion as it's declining?
The claw, no.
I'm sorry?
McClaw, no.
No. That's what I think. That's what the Gemara is saying. Is that vector? There's two vectors working here. There's one this way and one that way. This is this motion is still his 100% power.
I mean, eventually, obviously, the power behind it ceases, but within the practical range of firearm, no.
Now, Tali, was the
Right.
bullet slowing down when it passed you when the Hell's Angels shot at you?
Well, I'm glad I didn't find out.
This article today, secular, like, they don't really care, like, they just match the bullet to the
Right.
gun and.
Right. But that's what we're doing also. We're just saying that if he shoots a bullet up straight in the air, and then it hits someone that is directly underneath him, when it falls down, you're gonna say that wasn't his power. I say that's total gravity. But if he puts it on an angle and then it hits someone going down, because that's going to be his power. Because that arc, the fact that it moved over there was his power. Isn't that interesting?
The boy haven't got there yet.
No, I think the Newton would agree with this.
The going,
Oh, you're saying in the court system.
wherever it lands,
Uh-huh.
it's like.
To shelf those guns. Celebration.
Okay. I think officially,
Always
according
to
to
the ground.
Newton, an object in motion stays in motion until that vector is always going to be that. It's never going to slow down. This velocity was always going to stay the same. It's just why is it going to stop? Because it hit the ground, and then it's going to stop it. Otherwise, it would just continue.
It's a useful theory.
Okay. Tanarabanan. I was taught in the Brisa. Ko asar b'nei yadam basar maklais. 10 people hit this guy with 10 sticks. Umeis, and he dies. Whether they hit him all at once, whether they hit him one after another, they're all exempt. Because you don't have one individual there and that committed the crime. Rabbi ben Beseira, his opinion is that if it's one after another, then the last person that hit him, he's the one that's chayav. He's the one that brought close his death. Rabbi Yochanan says they learned this from one verse. Two ways of reading this verse. If a man will smite all soul of man, Rabbanan Sabri, the Rabbanan say, Kol nefesh, adik kol nefesh. They have to smite the whole soul. They have to strike the whole soul. And over here, this last person didn't do the whole soul. He did only 1/10. The first 9 people, they did the rest of it. And Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir savar kol nefesh, kol du nefesh, any. Difference in translation between the word kol. Does kol mean all or does kol mean any? Like it. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir says it means any amount, and Rabbanan say it means all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That's one.
What about the lashes?
That the last lash is the one that
The last lash
takes the person's soul.
The last lash
Yeah, they say up to here because in the next one the person
is going to die.
that's it.
No, but what do you see from the lashes? Lashes, a person gets a certain amount of lashes. If he hits him an extra time, he's exempt anyway because he's a shteich besdin.
No, but
But they limit it to.
but the soul comes out. What I'm saying is like
Yeah,
But
but
that-
it's a combination of all of the lashes beforehand, right? You know the guy that ate he ate 10 bagels and he wasn't full, so he ate one more bagel and he got full. He says, "Oh, I should have eaten the 11th bagel first." Right? Combination. It's not a
All those cases we learned about damages, like guys like sad and
Right.
okay.
Yeah, remember that Papa Barabba or something in Baba Kama. So Amar Rava says, Hakal Maidim Bahira gets a treifa. Rava says, everyone agrees that if someone kills a person that was dying because he's a treifa, he was going to die. What type of treifa is he? Guess you can see he's dying. Shupater. Is that the murderer is exempt because he killed a person that was dying. If he kills a person that's on his deathbed, not a treifa, but he's a geisis, he's dying. Different, two types of dying people. One person is dying because he was wounded and he's dying from his wounds. The other person is dying because he's old and he's dying. So over there, if he's old and he's dying, it's chayiv. Over there is going to be chayiv. The whole machlekes between I guess Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira and the Tanakama is if he's dying, but it's because of he was hit, but it's not visible on the outside. One of them compares him to the treifa, and if you kill a treifa, so then you're pater. The other one compares him to someone that's dying because he's old or something, so then he's going to be chayiv. The one that compares him to the treifa, which says that he's pater, which is the Tanakama, why doesn't he compare him to the Geis B'dei Shemayim? Geis B'dei Shemayim leis avid b'ei ma'isa. By the Geis B'dei Shemayim, the person that's dying from the hands of heaven, because he's old, so nothing was done to him that causes his death. Hayas avid b'ei ma'isa, but here he was hit, so it's different. You can't compare. The one that compares him to someone that's dying from heaven, why doesn't he compare him to someone that's dying as a treifa? Because treifa, by a treifa, you see that he's dying because his the signs of life are cut, because he's wounded, right? So it's visible that he's dying. Oh, but over here, he's just laying down on a bed. Someone comes over and kills him. It's not clear, like what's the they're just restating. It sounds like they're just restating what they said before. It doesn't seem like they're giving like a real explanation. Tani Tamla Kamid Rav Sheshes. There was a Tana that taught in front of Rav Sheshes. Vishki Yakik Kol Nefesh Adam. Man that will strike all the soul of man. It's coming to tell us that if someone strikes him, but he wasn't able to kill him with that strike, someone else comes and strikes him and he kills him, shuchayev. If the first person wasn't able to kill him, then for sure the second person's going to be chayev. Rather, the first person could have killed him also. But someone else came and hurried it up. The stomach Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, and that's the view of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that says the 10 people hit him, and then the 9 people hit him. The 10th person came, and the last person that comes is gonna be chayiv. Amar Rava says, "Here gets a treifa. Someone kills an animal. Someone kills a person that's a treifa. Spater. Treifa means that he's going to die with visible wounds. He's going to be exempt. Treifa shaharag, but let's say there was a person that had visible wounds, that he kills someone else. Are we going to kill him? So b'fnei bezdin, it's chayiv. If he did it in front of bezdin was watching him do this, then he's going to be chayiv. Shlei b'fei bezdin. If it's going to be done with witnesses are going to appear to do this, to testify, he's going to be pater. What's the reason why it'd be chayiv if it's in front of Bezdin? It's because you see that he's a murderer. You have to take away the evil from your midst. But if it's not in front of Bezdin, you're going to need witnesses to do this. It's going to be pater, because this is going to be testimony that cannot be turned into Eidim Zayman. Why? Can't become Eidim Zayman because the person that killed, if witnesses say that the person that the treifa killed and then they find out that those two witnesses weren't even there. They had no way of knowing that treifa killed. So they were conspiring to kill a treifa. Right? That's why they showed up in court. They wanted to get this treifa killed. This person that was going to die anyway. So then the witnesses, those witnesses, what would they do to them? What they wanted to do to that person? What did they want to do to that person? They wanted to get him killed. Only problem is that they weren't really going to get a living person killed. They were going to get a treifa killed. So you can't do to them what they wanted to do, because what you're going to do to them is much worse than what they wanted to do. So if testimony cannot turn into Eidim Zaymimen, we don't accept that testimony. So if there's going to be witnesses that are going to testify, it's not going to work. The Amar Rava says like this, the following: a treifa, someone that lives with an animal. So then, but the animal was going to die. It was an animal that wasn't going to survive. It's chayiv, because bestiality is a death penalty. Treifa sharava. Let's say the person that lived with the animal was dying. It was had wounds. It was dying. Dr. Stein will have to explain this one. And he lives with an animal. We'll figure out how this dying person is able to do that. But b'fnei bezdin, if it's in front of bezdin, then he's chayiv. Then he's okay. Right? They have to destroy take away evil from the midst. If it's not in front of bezdin, then he's going to be pater. Why? We're going to have that story with testimony, and the testimony that doesn't turn into Eidim Zayim. But b'fnei bezdin chayiv d'tzubar Torah mikabecha. B'fnei bezdin is pater because that's going to be testimony that cannot turn into Eidim Zayim, because you're going to want to do to them what they want to do to him. He was dying. What you're going to do to these witnesses is much worse than what they wanted to do. Hasul Amali, I know. Why do we need two cases telling me the same thing? One is that the person murdered, that treifa murdered. Another person is that the treifa lived with an animal. The same halacha for both of them. Gemara says, there is one chiddush. Chiddush is the person that lived with the animal that was a treifa. One second, I maybe explain this wrong. No, I'm explaining with an animal. That was a mistake. It's really talking about another man. There's a homosexual relationship, but the other man was a treifa. But it was dying. Okay.
I thought this was that the owner of the animal is a treifa.
That's coming up, I think.
Oh, is that confusing?
Yeah, I mixed it up already. That's why okay. But that case is coming up. The first case was a homosexual relationship, and it was either the person, the active participant was the treifa, or the passive participant was the treifa. Now, if it's in front of bezdin, so then he's gonna get killed. If it's not in front of bezdin, then we're gonna have to rely on witnesses. We're not gonna kill him. We said, well, it's the same case as the person that killed. What do you have to tell me? Another case with the reiva, with the reiveya, is the person that's living with this other man. He says, no, that's necessary. I could have thought lehevi commandam shamash meis v'lifta. I could have thought that because the passive participant was dying, could have thought that this is considered like living with a dead person. And living with a dead person, necrophilia, right? Necrophilia. It could have thought that this is considered living with a dead person, but that does not incur capital punishment. And because this person is dying, it could have thought that we would put it into that category. Mashmalan, it comes to teach us that he's not dead. Mishum hanahu, it has to do with the enjoyment that the person has. And this active participant does get enjoyment because the person is the victim, the passive participant is still alive. And so therefore he should get the death penalty. Amar Rava says, if witnesses testified about a treifa, that he committed one of these sins. And then they became Edom Zayman. Well, Ein Neragan, can't get killed. Because what you're going to do to them is much worse than what they wanted to do. Eidei Treifa Shehuzmu. Let's say the witnesses were dying. And they became Edom Zayman. How could you testify you were with us? So Neragan, we killed him. Ravashi Amar, Ravashi says no. Afilu Eidei Treifa Shehuzmu Ein Neragan. Rashi says you can't kill them. Why? He says, because even though these become Zayman, but if witnesses would come and say about these witnesses, that how could we get with 3 sets of witnesses now? The first set of witnesses were Treifa. Another 2 witnesses come and say that how could you say what you said you were with us? So the Tanakama holds that, okay, Rava holds that you kill the first set of witnesses. Yeah, because the second set of witnesses says you were with us, and you try to get a regular person killed. Right, the person that the murderer was not a treifa. It's the witnesses that were treifa. Second set of witnesses come, so we kill those witnesses that are treifa. Ravashi says no. The second set of witnesses that came cannot become Edom Zayman if a third set of witnesses shows up. Because what did they want to do? They tried to kill the first 2 witnesses that were treifa. We can't do to them what they wanted to do, because what we do to them would be much worse than what they wanted to do. Rava says, if an animal that was a treifa that killed, is chayiv. What's chayiv mean? Chayiv to pay, or chayiv we kill the animal? Guess we kill the animal, right? Kill the animal.
It means it's subject to the punishment or based in whatever it is.
Right? But let's say there was an ox of a person that was a treifa that killed, then pater, we don't kill the animal. My time, what's the reason? Amar Kra, the pasuk says, "Asher yisakal v'gambal of yumas." The ox is stoned, and also the owner is put to death. Now, when we said the owner is put to death, it means that he has to pay a penalty. It doesn't mean that he dies. If we can say that the owner is put to death, then then we can say that the ox is stoned. If you can't say that the owner is put to death, then then you don't kill the ox either. Ravashi says, "If you shar treifa nami shaharag pater." Ravashi says that even a shar that kills, a shar treifa that killed, it's exempt. Not only if the owner is a treifa, but even if the ox is a treifa. My time, what's the reason? The explanation is patri nami pater, because we compare the owner to the ox. And if the owner would be pater in such a case, so the ox is also exempt if the ox would be treifa. If you incite a dog or incite a snake, go bite someone, you're going to be exempt. However, if you go and you take the snake and directly to the person's arm, you could make him bite, so then you're going to be chayiv. However, the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda says, that's Rabbi Yehuda says chayiv, the Chum say pat. Well, Amar Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov says, Kishetim Telaimar, you're able to say, L'div Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that says chayiv, Eres Nachas Ben Shinahu, Aimid. This poison of the snake is in its teeth. It's already there. So when you went and put the poison on the person, you did it directly. Lefikach, and therefore, makish, which means that if you make it make it bite. So then The one that makes it bite is going to get besayef, is going to get the penalty of a regular murderer. It's going to get the sword. The nachash, but the snake, he didn't do anything. It's going to be pati. You're going to let the snake survive. Snake did nothing wrong. It's like using the snake to hit the person. Right? The snake did nothing. Divrei chachamim, but according to the chachamim that say that eres nachash me'atzmahu maki, that the snake, poison of the snake comes up when the snake wants to bite. It's not held in the teeth. So then, lefikach nachash beskila. The snake is the one that did the killing. The snake gets killed. Makish, the one that put him there, is going to be pater. Okay, let's leave it over here. Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good week. That's all.